some, it's a tasteful painting of a partially clad woman.
You can see that it was not anything to be alarmed about.
To others, it's viewed as sexual harassment.
I don't think an employer can safely say that he knows that this is good nudity and that's bad nudity in the workplace.
Now this painting, titled Gwen, has turned the old Civil War city of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, into a constitutional battleground.
I knew my First Amendment rights had been violated.
This story of censorship and sensibility began several months ago when Gwen was hung in the rotunda of Murfreesboro City Hall. The painting was among a collection of 40 being displayed by local artist Maxine Henderson.
No one raised an eyebrow.
But Lori Crowder did. She's an assistant school superintendent who spotted the painting on her way to a board meeting. Crowder filed a sexual harassment complaint with the city.
I personally find art in any form, whether it be a painting, a Greek statue, or a picture out of Playboy, which displays genitals, buttocks, and or nipples of the human body, to be pornographic, and in this instance, very offensive and degrading to me as a woman. I reserve the right not to have it thrust in my face on my way into a meeting with my superiors, most of whom are men.
Murfreesboro City Attorney Tom Reed went to investigate.
It was obvious when I looked at it that we were faced with a situation where this lady had no clothes on. I mean, she was nude.
Reed removed the painting and hid it in his office closet, satisfying Lori Crowder but enraging artist Maxine Henderson.
And what really hurt me was that I was the contributor and someone could come along and say, take it down, a picture down. And that the city would honor her rights and not mine.
So Henderson, a 66-year-old grandmother, filed a complaint of her own, a federal lawsuit claiming the city breached her First Amendment rights to freedom of expression.
You know, somebody has to stand up and say, I'm going to use this for my protection.
City Attorney Tom Reed insists he was right in removing the painting, claiming a worker's protection from sexual harassment supersedes an artist's right of expression.
The female employees here, they don't have a choice. They have to, this is their workplace. So there is a distinct difference between a workplace and a museum where art is displayed.
It's both a working place and a public forum. Obviously, people work there, so it's a working place. But the city having chosen to utilize its facility as an art gallery, then from a constitutional standpoint, it becomes an art gallery.
In her suit, Maxine Henderson is asking for $1 and attorney's fees, insisting that she's fighting for a principle, not money.
The artists should have assurances that they're not going to be censored.
Meanwhile, she believes Lori Crowder's sexual harassment complaint only harmed her own cause.
I think it's sad that someone would trivialize this when there's so many women that possibly this law is so valuable to them.
Since Glory seems to agree that harassment is in the eye of the beholder, could I then feel offended by a low-cut dress that a woman might be wearing in my workplace? Could I have her cover up if that offends me?
Well, it's really going to be a question of not only what you find to be hostile or abusive or sexual harassment, what would a reasonable person in your situation feel is hostile or abusive. So I do think that it's a fair question, but really the question is, would reasonable people be offended by that or not, and how low is it? I think we know.
But you did agree with taking down the picture that the woman did feel was offensive. It was only her.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be everybody agreeing. It also depends not only on your subjective judgment of what is sexual harassment or offensive or degrading or humiliating, but what would a reasonable person
but
feel?
A reasonable man would find that a woman sitting across from him in a very tight sweater, she'd be making a sexually explicit statement that would interfere with his job performance. It'd be a hostile working environment for most men. Is that sexual harassment? You're not really answering this question.
But it really depends. And the question is, he didn't say anything about sexually explicit statements. You added that
A woman in a very tight sweater is making a sexually explicit statement.
Let me just say, I think that women are generally entitled to wear that which is appropriate to the workplace, and it's a case-by-case situation.
But men are not permitted to speak their minds.
Women do not have to go into the workplaces now with bags over their head or long gowns or completely shrouded the way they are in I read. We're not going to stand for that, and you're not going to put us back in the jail.
I don't think men should have to go into the workplace with gags in their mouths.